Okay, imagine this for a second. Just one person, right? No army, no real political position in the usual sense, and yet they completely changed the path of a whole empire. Sounds like, I don't know, mythology. But it actually happened. Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into the incredible story of this figure known by, well, a few names. Chanakya, sometimes Kautilya or Vishnugupta. So our mission here in this deep dive is basically to pull out the most, the really key insights from the sources we've looked at, mainly drawing from Chanakya, architect of empire and wisdom. We're not just, listing facts. We're trying to uncover the blueprint for how someone could have such a profound impact. Almost unbelievable, really. Because you see, Chanakya wasn't just some advisor hanging around the palace. He was more like, well, he was practically an ideology walking around. I mean, this is a guy who finds a totally ordinary boy and turns him into Emperor Chandragupta Maurya. Laid the foundation for the Mauryan Empire, which, stretched right across the subcontinent. And if that wasn't enough, he also wrote the Arthashastra,
which is essentially the foundational text for so much of political thought even today. It's kind of astonishing.
It really is. Things like statecraft, economic policy, the role of intelligence gathering. He wrote about these centuries ago, and they still echo. You can hear them in modern political science debates.
Absolutely. Like his whole emphasis on a strong treasury being the absolute bedrock of state power. That's timeless. People still argue about that kind of thing today. So where did this incredible intellect come from? And how did his policies manage to reshape, well, basically everything?
Yeah, to understand that, you kind of have to go back to the beginning. His story really starts in Taxila, around 370 BCE. His birth name, as you mentioned, was Vishnugupta. And apparently, even from a very young age, people knew he was brilliant, just exceptionally sharp.
Right, a prodigious intellect, the sources say. But not just bookish smart, right? He trained at Taxila University, mastered philosophy, politics, warfare, and crucially, diplomacy. He was a real polymath for his time.
Exactly. Deeply skilled in all those areas that really define leadership and, running a state.
So if he's this brilliant, this well-trained, what happened? How did he end up facing this profound humiliation? And why was that moment so important?
That's the crucial turning point, isn't it? Because his intellect was clear, but his path, his real motivation, seems forged in humiliation. That's what the sources suggest. It all hinges on this moment when the Emperor Dhanananda of the Nanda dynasty, described as tyrannical, basically insulted him publicly, kicked him out of the court.
Okay. And that's when Chanakya makes that famous vow, right? That fiery promise, I will destroy this empire.
Yeah.
Sets the whole thing in motion. One of history's really compelling sagas.
That seems to be the catalyst, yes. From that moment on, he's on this incredible mission. Find a common boy, Chandragupta, train him up, meticulously guide him, politically, strategically, and ultimately establish the Mauryan dynasty. He didn't just, advise a king. He basically sculpted an empire, realized this dream of an undivided India.
Which does raise the big question. How? How does one guy with no army of his own pull off something that massive?
It's extraordinary, yeah. And what the sources really highlight is that it wasn't about, marching in with soldiers. Not primarily, anyway. It was this sophisticated mix of cunning strategy, intelligence, and even psychological warfare.
Okay, so can you walk us through that? What were some of the key methods he used to build that foundation, to take down the Nandas?
Absolutely. His genius seems to lie in what you might call indirect action. And comprehensive intelligence was key. He didn't just attack head-on. He systematically undermined the Nanda Empire from the inside, building these vast intelligence networks, finding and leveraging internal disagreements and dissent, strategically weakening their resources, their economy, and importantly, fostering alliances with smaller kingdoms, rulers who were also, eager to see the Nanda dynasty fall.
All right, wait.
He understood that a revolution or regime change isn't just about winning battles, it's about eroding the enemy's power base, politically, economically, until the conditions are right for collapse.
So he was playing the long game, like a grandmaster in chess, where every single move, even the small ones, contributes to the checkmate. And it's through these actions and the principles he wrote down that we really start to grasp his strategic depth, his core principles, his niti, which is kind of this blend of wise policy, moral conduct, and strategic thinking. They still resonate, don't they? Like that famous line, a snake, whether poisonous or not, should not forget to hiss.
Precisely. And that's not just about, being aggressive. It's a really shrewd insight into perception management, influence. Even if you don't have massive power, projecting readiness, projecting potential deterrence, that can buy you time. It can give you leverage.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes about the strategic use of reputation. critical back then and still absolutely vital today. Think about modern diplomacy or even business negotiations. Public image is a huge force.
It's striking how timeless that feels, isn't it?
Mhm.
Even today, projecting strength, even when you might feel vulnerable, that can be a really potent defense. We see it constantly in global politics and the corporate world. Okay, another one of his insights. As long as the body is healthy and death is far away, strive for self-knowledge. What do you make of that?
Well, that's a powerful call to action, isn't it? If you connect it to the bigger picture of his life, it seems to underscore this idea that a strong inner foundation, self-awareness, is crucial for any kind of external success or achievement. It's not just political strategy. It's also about the individual being prepared mentally and maybe even physically for life's challenges. Self-mastery while you still have the energy and the opportunity.
Interesting. Like personal preparedness enables strategic action. And then maybe one of his most universally applicable pieces of advice, especially for anyone navigating, well, any kind of complex human interaction. Never reveal your secrets to others. This can bring destruction upon you.
Yeah, the remarkable thing there is just how practical and stark that advice is, almost blunt. It's a fundamental reminder of the vulnerability that comes with oversharing, especially in environments that are competitive or, politically charged. It really speaks to self-preservation, strategic discretion, principles that were obviously vital for statecraft back then, but are arguably just as relevant in our personal and professional lives today.
It's so straightforward. And yet, how often do we see people, even, really seasoned professionals, fall into that trap of oversharing? Maybe trying to be transparent. Chanakya, you get the feeling, would have been a master of LinkedIn discretion, maybe.
Absolutely. There's a kind of ruthless pragmatism underpinning so much of his thinking. Vulnerability, he seems to argue, is just a weapon waiting for someone else to pick up and use against you.
Wow.
It's a harsh lesson, maybe, but one that undeniably helped build empires and still protects reputations today.
Okay, so as we start to wrap up our deep dive here, it's clear Chanakya's story is way more than just ancient history. It's genuinely a powerful source of inspiration, wouldn't you say? It really shows how one single person, without that traditional power base, no army, could fundamentally change the direction of an entire empire.
Yeah, the overarching lesson, I think, that really jumps out from his life, his teachings, it's incredibly clear. Intelligence and policy are greater powers than a sword. And that principle, it isn't just locked away in ancient history books. It resonates everywhere. Strategy and influence shape outcomes. Think business, community leadership, even personal strategy. It just demonstrates the enduring power of, well, thinking things through. Intellect.
So the question then becomes, what does all this mean for you, listening right now? How might this wisdom from Chanakya, this unique blend of like strategic thinking and life philosophy, how might that actually resonate in your own life, your own sphere of influence? And maybe consider this final thought directly from the source material we looked at. Imagine if today's generation, if we embraced even just a fraction of Chanakya's policies and wisdom, not just as, historical curiosities, but as living principles to actually use. What kind of transformation could that bring? For society, maybe even for the nation. It's worth pondering, perhaps, which of his principles might be most valuable for you to explore a bit further, maybe even apply.